Welcome back, everybody, to the deep dive. Standing out online, it's something we all struggle with, right? I mean, sometimes it feels like everyone's just copying each other.
It really does. And this article, Standing Out in a Copycat Online Market, well, it really digs into that.
Yeah, and it does more than just say, hey, don't copy.
Right, right. It's about more than just, being unique. It's about, well, think about it. Imagine you're looking for someone online, let's just say a financial advisor,
Yeah.
and you find two people who seem to offer the same things. But one, well, they're copying everything. Website layout, how they write their posts, even like their profile picture. I mean, who are you going to trust more?
Well, probably the one who seems like they put in the effort to be, original.
That's exactly it. Copying might get you some attention at first, but over time, it really hurts the trust and authority you need to build. You just blend in.
So how do we stand out then? The article, it mentions this brand voice thing, but I don't know, it always sounds kind of vague to me. What does that even mean for like a photographer or a writer trying to build a following?
Well, it's about how you present yourself online, but more importantly, it's about the WHY. Think of it like this. Your brand voice, well, it's like your personality online, and it makes you recognizable, right? Are you going for that humor, that Wendy's sort of thing on Twitter, or, are you more sleek and minimalist like Apple?
Ah, so it's not just what you say, it's the HRW. But isn't there a risk, like trying too hard,
Mm-hmm.
to be funny or edgy when that's not really you?
Yeah, that's a great point. Authenticity, well, that's the key. Your brand voice. I mean, it has to be real. It has to be you. Because, well, trying to force it, that's going to backfire. I mean, people can spot a fake from a mile away.
So we're not just copying, but when you see something that works and you think, hey, I could do that too,
Mm.
where's the line between being inspired and just straight up imitation?
That's where the article's focus on innovation comes in. It's not about never getting ideas from others, but it's about bringing something new to the table. Like, instead of just copying, ask yourself, what's missing in your area? What could you do differently?
Hmm.
What problems are you the best person to solve?
It's like instead of copying, you use that as fuel for something new.
Yeah.
And the article, it even has some tips on how to do that, like experimenting, trying different formats, right?
Right. Think about those polls on Instagram stories
Or
or, a behind the scenes video. Go beyond just those, well, the regular posts.
keep the copycats guessing, right?
Yeah.
But here's the thing. You've got all this creativity, but the article, well, it talks about how there's a ton of just like generic advice online these days. Like even AI is making content. So how do you cut through all that?
That's when sharing real value becomes so important. Anyone can just repeat the same tips from a, quick search, but you, the listener, you've got your own experience. You've got your own knowledge.
So it's not just repackaging. It's about taking what you know, right, and making it actually insightful.
Exactly. Let's say you're the listener and your thing is, I don't know, fitness. You could share your training method or, talk about how you recovered from an injury.
That's going to stand out way more than like, just another 5 tips post.
You got it. It's about using what makes you different to offer something the copycats can't just copy.
And speaking of making things stand out, the article had this thing about storytelling. It talked about like a business owner who was struggling and how just sharing that story, it really connected with people.
Oh, for sure. I mean, that example, it shows just how powerful stories can be. Like, you
Right.
can give people facts and figures, but, a story. That's what people remember. It's that emotional connection.
Right. It's not just, I can help your business grow. It's telling the story of that business owner, what they went through and how you helped them get to the other side.
Yeah. It's like you're painting a picture. You're giving them a narrative they can relate to. And the article, it even challenges you, the listener. What are your stories? What made you an expert? What challenges did you have to overcome? That's what makes you, relatable.
It's like you're letting people see behind the curtain a bit. Right.
Yeah.
Right. But there are so many platforms, so many trends. It's easy to get caught up in chasing the next big thing. So how do you, stay focused?
That's where the article's advice is so good. Stick to your niche. I mean, it's tempting to, jump on every trend. But if you're doing that all the time, it makes you look inconsistent. People won't know what you're about.
So you're not trying to be everything to everyone. You're the expert in your area. But, there's all this talk about building your personal brand.
Yeah.
How do you balance that with, still being professional?
Yeah.
It can be kind of awkward to put yourself out there.
It's important to remember that people connect with Well, with people, when everything is so, faceless online, letting your personality show, that's a real advantage. And the article, it talks about how important it is to be authentic.
So what does that even look like? Are we posting selfies all the time now?
No, no, not necessarily. It's more about bringing your personality into your content, like your writing style. Maybe you do some videos or, even little stories that relate to your work. It's about letting people get to know the real you.
You got to find that balance, right? Where you're being yourself, but it doesn't feel forced. But at the end of the day, isn't it all about the follower count? The more followers, the better.
Right. A lot of people think that. But the article makes a really good point. It's not just about followers. It's about engagement. I mean, having tons of followers, that looks good, sure. But a
Yeah.
smaller group that's really engaged, that's actually more valuable over time.
It's quality over quantity.
Mm.
Why is a strong community so important?
Think of it this way. A community that's really with you, they're not just an audience, they're like your advocates. They'll actually share your stuff, they'll stick up for you, and they'll give you honest feedback. It's about real connection, not just, likes and follows.
So how do you build that kind of community?
Mm.
Especially when you're just starting out. You can feel, well, kind of overwhelming.
It starts with the small stuff, like,
Yeah.
replying to comments, getting involved in discussions, making people feel like you see them. You could do a Q&A, you could have polls, or even those contests where people can interact.
So it's being present. It's not just about, putting your message out there and then disappearing.
Exactly. It's about making people feel like they belong, like they can share their thoughts and connect with each other.
Okay, so we've covered a lot. Finding your voice, telling stories, building that community. It's clear that standing out online, it's not about following the crowd.
It's really not. It's about taking what makes you different and using that to really connect. In a world where everyone's copying, being real, that's your superpower.
That's a perfect way to put it. And so, for our listener today, what's the one thing you want them to remember?
I'd say don't be afraid to let your unique perspective shine through. The world needs it.
Powerful stuff. It's so easy to get lost in the noise, but really, it's about being yourself.
It really is. The more you do that, the more you'll find people who get you, who connect with what you do.
This has been such a great deep dive, so insightful. We hope this gives you the tools and the inspiration to break free from the copycats and be yourself online. Thinking about all this, it's kind of empowering, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's so easy to feel like, you have to fit in online, follow the rules. But this is like, it's different.
Yeah. It's like instead of trying to blend in, you actually want to stand out.
And not just stand out, but really use what makes you, well, you.
So for someone listening who's feeling kind of lost in all the sameness online, what's the first thing they should do?
I'd say take some time. Think about what you're good at, what experiences you have, what makes you see things differently.
Like what do you call it? Like an audit, but of all the cool stuff about yourself.
Exactly. What do you know that you could share that nobody else can? What stories do you have that will really connect?
And don't be afraid to try stuff out, right? Try different things, see what feels right and see what people respond to.
Totally. That's how you find your own voice, your own style.
This whole deep dive, it's been about doing things differently. Not fitting in, but owning what makes you different.
And, in a world that's all about, algorithms and all that human connection, it's more important than ever.
So to everyone listening, go out there and be yourself.
Show the world what makes you unique, because we need it.
And that's a wrap for today. We hope this has given you some new ideas and the confidence to stand out online. Thanks for joining us for the deep dive.